while snow fell outside her windows and covered the great park that surrounded Linlithgow, further isolating it from the world. Once safely ensconced in private with the infant queen and her most trusted attendants, many of whom had come with her from France in the spring of 1538, Marie would have considered her next move, only too aware of the storm clouds brewing beyond the thick stone walls of Linlithgow. As far as royal successions went, this one involved the worst possible scenario for an already beleaguered Scotland. Instead of the desired adult male heir, the new ruler was both an infant and female, which in the 16th century was considered an ominous and undesirable combination. There was an unfortunate precedent, too, in the fact that her dead husband had succeeded to his own father's throne in similar circumstances, at just 17 months old, after James IV had been slaughtered, along with thousands of Scottish soldiers, by the forces of his brother-in-law, Henry VIII, at Flodden. His mother, Margaret Tudor, had learned the news of her husband's death in the very same rooms at Linlithgow, but there, Marie de Guise determined, the similarity between their situations would end. The feckless Margaret had quickly proved herself to be an inadequate regent for her infant son, having fled back to her brother in England within 2 years of her husband's death, leaving her son behind. As she shivered in her fur-lined robes and stared out across the snow-covered landscape, it no doubt crossed Marie's mind that, according to the terms of the marriage contract, she was now free to return to France and her own close-knit family, which included her beloved 5-year-old son, the Duc de Longueville, product of her first marriage. However, tempting though this idea might have been, she resolutely pushed it from her mind. From now on, her place was in Scotland with her baby daughter, who could not possibly be entrusted to the Scottish nobles, whom Marie already suspected would not waste an instant before brokering a deal with the hostile English. After all, it was too convenient that the heir to the English throne, Edward, Prince of Wales, was, at just 5 years old, close enough in age to the baby Queen of Scotland to be considered an eligible contender for her hand. Marie was no fool, and it would have occurred to her that as soon as the news of her husband's untimely death arrived in London, along with the news of his defeat in battle, the indomitable Henry VIII would start moving heaven and earth in order to secure the little queen for his son, and by extension, Scotland for himself. However, if he thought that the widowed Queen Marie was going to be a pushover like his sister Margaret had been during her own brief period of regency 30 years earlier, he had underestimated her. It would not take long, however, before events showed him that here, in this member of the noble Lorraine family, was an opponent worthy of respect. And it was not for nothing that her personal emblem was a crown set atop a rock surrounded by a turbulent sea, surmounted by the motto, Ad hoc stat. And yet it stands. Chapter 2. One for All. Squabbles over succession were not unusual within Marie's family. After all, her great-great-grandfather, good King René d'Anjou, had famously squandered his family's fortune on pursuing his claim to the thrones of Naples and Jerusalem, while his youngest daughter, Marguerite, as the wife of Henry VI, became one of the main protagonists in the dynastic row commonly known as the Wars of the Roses. However, it was not from the formidable firebrand Marguerite, but rather from her meek and more dutiful elder sister, Yolande, Duchesse de Lorraine, that Marie would claim descent. The 1445 marriage of Yolande d'Anjou and her cousin Frédéric, Comte de Vaudémont, put an end to yet another dynastic argument over the fate of the vast duchy of Lorraine, which had been fought over by the couple's respective fathers for years, and was currently held by the bride's mother, Isabel. However, when Yolande inherited the duchy in 1473, she immediately passed it over to her pugnacious and extremely ambitious 22-year-old son, René, whom she felt was better equipped to deal with the predatory advances into their territory